December 26, 2020. Midnight approaches in Atlanta, Georgia. 17-year-old Kicia Williams stands alone in her hotel room at the Hyatt Regency. Phone propped up as she records herself dancing for her TikTok followers. Her movements are carefree, her smile bright, completely unaware that these would be her final moments alive. At precisely 12:02 a.m., something changes. The expression on Kalecia's face shifts from joy to confusion, then alarm. Someone has entered the room. The camera captures her startled reaction as she turns toward the unexpected visitor. "Who is it?" she asks, her voice tinged with surprise. The video abruptly cuts off. Within minutes, Kicia Williams would be shot in the groin. Within 21 minutes, she would be pronounced dead. A vibrant young life extinguished, just days after Christmas, hours after posting what would become her last dance. What happened in those critical moments after the camera stopped recording? Who entered that hotel room? And why did a teenage gathering turn deadly? The answers reveal a disturbing tale of deception, negligence, and a justice system that many believe failed a promising young woman whose only crime was attending what she thought was a supervised, girls-only Christmas party. Welcome to Explosive True Crime Stories, where we go beyond the headlines to examine not just what happened, but why, and how similar tragedies might be prevented. Our mission isn't simply to recount disturbing events, but to analyze the circumstances that allowed them to occur and provide insights that could save lives. Today's case exposes the dangerous intersection of teenage independence, social media influence, and inadequate supervision. As we explore Kicia Williams' story, we'll identify the critical warning signs that were missed and the safety conversations every parent and teenager should have before it's too late. Kicia Williams was a South Atlanta high school student with dreams as bright as her nickname, Pinky, suggested. Known for her infectious smile and creative TikTok dances, she had built a substantial following online. Her mother, April Smith, described her as loving, ambitious, and full of potential. A typical teenager navigating the complex world of social media fame. What began as a post-Christmas celebration among friends quickly transformed into a nightmare. The party, originally presented to Kalecia's parents as a chaperoned, girls-only gathering, was actually an unsupervised hotel meetup with both male and female teenagers present. This crucial misrepresentation set the stage for disaster. By the early hours of December 27th, instead of returning home with stories of holiday fun, Kalecia was being transported to a hospital with a fatal gunshot wound. The shooter, a teenage boy named Kerry Brown, allegedly her boyfriend at the time. The motive, reportedly an argument that escalated to violence. Most disturbing were the actions following the shooting. Kalecia's body being carried through the hotel by other teenagers, the 8-hour delay before her family was notified, and ultimately, a sentence for her killer that many viewed as shockingly lenient. Just 1 year in juvenile detention for taking a human life. I want you to pause for a moment and consider. How many teenagers do you know who attend parties without verifying the details with adults? How many parents trust the word of other parents without direct confirmation? This tragedy hinged on miscommunication and false assurances, problems that could happen to any family. If you're watching this with your teenager, please use this moment to start a conversation. Ask them about their party protocols. Do they have a safety check-in system? Would they recognize when a situation is becoming dangerous? If you've experienced similar situations where plans changed unexpectedly or supervision was promised but absent, share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help another family avoid tragedy. And if you're finding value in this analysis already, please hit that like button and subscribe to join our community dedicated to learning from these heartbreaking stories so we can protect those we love. Kicia Williams entered the world on January 1st, 2004, a New Year's baby whose arrival seemed to promise new beginnings. Born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, she grew up in a close-knit family that included her mother April Smith and stepfather Rami Savoy. Those who knew her described a young woman whose vibrant personality matched her colorful nickname. At South Atlanta High School, Kalecia was known for her outgoing nature and creative spirit. Classmates remember her as someone who could light up a room, whose laughter was contagious, and whose dance moves were always on point. She balanced her academic responsibilities with her growing social media presence, maintaining friendships both online and in person. Her mother, April, often spoke of Kalecia's ambition and determination. She knew what she wanted and went after it. April would later tell reporters after the tragedy. The teenager had plans beyond high school, dreams of perhaps leveraging her growing online influence into entrepreneurial opportunities or creative pursuits. Raised in a Christian household, faith played an important role in Kalecia's upbringing. Family gatherings, church events, and holiday celebrations were central to her life. The Christmas of 2020 was meant to be another joyful family occasion, making the timing of her death all the more heartbreaking. Cut down just one day after the holiday and mere days before what would have been her 17th birthday. Friends described Kalecia as loyal, supportive, and authentic, someone who remained true to herself even as her online following grew. She was, by all accounts, a teenager with immense potential whose life was only beginning to unfold. In the rapidly evolving landscape of social media, Kalecia found her niche on TikTok.
1 month ago today, a 16-year-old girl went to what her parents thought would be a chaperoned holiday party, and she never made it back home. Her parents question where the adults were during the violence and say they want to see more people face charges. Kicia Williams' parents say their goal is simple.
We just want everyone to be arrested who has something to do with my daughter's death.
No justice, no peace. A group of more than 20 people gathered outside the Regency Tuesday to keep the teenager's memory alive.
Justice for Pinky!
December 26th, 16-year-old Kalecia, or Pinky as family calls her, went to a holiday party. Her parents say they were told an adult would look after a group of girls at an Airbnb.
She was responsible for getting the hotel room for these minors. The hotel room was in her name, so I feel like she should be held accountable for my daughter's death as well.
They didn't learn the group was staying at a Hyatt Regency until they received a horrific call the next day.
Like, this is the morgue. And I was like, the morgue? They was like, yes, ma'am. They was like, well, we're waiting on your daughter's body to come through. I'm like, whoa.
Kalecia's parents say that call didn't come until 8:45 a.m. The teen was pronounced dead at 12:23 in the morning, 8 hours prior.
It was just a lot of foul play, and I'm just trying to put all the pieces together because I don't feel like the system is doing enough work to help me.
Kalecia's mother says this is the last known video that shows her daughter alive. It shows her making a TikTok dance and appears startled when someone comes into the room. Within seconds, the video ends.
I want the surveillance footage of what happened. You know, who went in that room, who came out of that room, who was all there, what took place. I need to know what happened after she made that last TikTok video at 12:02 and she was dead at 12:23. I need answers from 12:02 to 12:23.
The demonstration lasted hours, and the family says it's just the beginning of their fight for Pinky.
We want answers! We want justice!
We're speaking to a woman who says she saw Pinky's final moments in the hotel lobby ahead at 11 on Fox 5 News Edge.
Her account showcased her natural talent for dance, her infectious energy, and her ability to connect with viewers through authentic content. While many teenagers used the platform casually, Kalecia approached it with dedication, regularly posting new videos and engaging with her growing audience. Her content primarily featured popular dance challenges, but with her own creative twists that made them distinctly Pinky. She didn't just follow trends, she added her personal flair, which resonated with viewers and helped distinguish her from countless other content creators. Her videos were characterized by joy and spontaneity, qualities that attracted followers looking for positivity in their feeds. As her follower count increased, Kalecia began to experience the unique challenges and opportunities that come with digital influence. She received positive comments and support from fans who admired her style and energy. For teenagers still forming her identity, this validation was powerful. Friends noted that while the attention boosted her confidence, she remained grounded and accessible to those who knew her before her online fame. What made Kalecia's social media presence particularly significant was how it represented the aspirations of many in her generation. For teenagers growing up in the digital age, platforms like TikTok aren't merely entertainment. They're potential pathways to opportunity, self-expression, and community. Kalecia was navigating this new terrain, building her personal brand one video at a time. The tragic irony of Kalecia's story is that social media, which had become such a central part of her identity and future plans, would also document her final moments. Her last TikTok video stands as both a celebration of her vibrant spirit and a haunting reminder of how quickly everything changed. In those final frames, viewers can see exactly what Kalecia represented to so many: youth, joy, and potential, all of which would be extinguished moments after the recording stopped. The events leading to Kalecia's death began with what appeared to be an innocent invitation. A friend named Infinity approached Kalecia about attending a post-Christmas celebration, a girls-only gathering to continue the holiday festivities. For any teenager, especially after months of pandemic restrictions in 2020, such an opportunity for socializing would have been appealing. April Smith, Kalecia's mother, did what many responsible parents would do. She sought assurances about supervision. In conversations with Infinity's mother, April was explicitly told that the gathering would be chaperoned by adults and exclusively for female friends. These two critical safety parameters, adult supervision and a girls-only environment, formed the basis of April's decision to allow her daughter to attend. What April didn't know was that neither of these conditions would be met. The party wasn't planned for Infinity's home as initially suggested, but was instead relocated to the Hyatt Regency Hotel in downtown Atlanta. No parents or adult chaperones would be present to monitor the teenagers. Most significantly, contrary to what was promised, male teenagers would be in attendance, including Kicia Brown. This fundamental deception, whether intentional or the result of plans changing without proper communication, created a dangerous situation where teenagers were left unsupervised in a hotel environment, far from the controlled setting that Kalecia's mother had approved. The gap between what was promised and what actually occurred would prove fatal. On the evening of December 26th, Kalecia arrived at the Hyatt Regency in downtown Atlanta between 8 and 9 p.m. The upscale hotel, normally associated with business conferences and tourist accommodations, had become the unexpected venue for a teenage gathering during the holiday season. Upon arrival, Kalecia discovered she was the first one there, a detail she shared during a phone call with her mother. April advised her daughter to wait for the others before proceeding further. This call would be one of their final conversations. As other teenagers began to arrive, including Infinity, who had organized the event, the nature of the gathering became clearer. The hotel room, far from a supervised home environment that had been described to Kalecia's mother, became the setting for an unsupervised party. Security camera footage would later show teenagers coming and going throughout the evening, moving between rooms and common areas with no adult oversight, a critical deviation from what had been promised. As the evening progressed, the true nature of the gathering emerged. Instead of the girls-only event with adult supervision that had been promised to Kalecia's mother, the hotel room became a mixed-gender teenage party with no parental oversight. At least 2 teenage boys were present, including Kicia Brown, who reportedly had a romantic relationship with Kalecia. The absence of adult supervision removed crucial safeguards that might have prevented the tragedy. With no responsible adult to monitor behavior, enforce boundaries, or intervene in escalating situations, the teenagers were left to navigate potential conflicts on their own. Social media posts from the night show the teens engaging in typical party behaviors, taking photos, recording videos, and socializing. Throughout the evening, Kalecia and Infinity appeared in several videos together, documenting their time at the hotel. These digital breadcrumbs would later become important evidence, helping investigators piece together the timeline of events leading up to the fatal shooting. The carefree atmosphere captured in these videos stands in stark contrast to the violence that would soon erupt. Around midnight, Kalecia returned to her hotel room alone. Like many teenagers accustomed to sharing moments of their lives online, she decided to record a TikTok video. The footage shows her dancing, smiling at the camera, a typical post for the social media savvy teen. She appears relaxed and happy, giving no indication of the danger that loomed just seconds away. At approximately 12:02 a.m., the video captures a pivotal moment. Kalecia's expression suddenly changes from joy to confusion. Her eyes dart to something off camera. Someone has entered the room unexpectedly. The video abruptly ends, cutting off what would be the final documented moments of her life. What happened next has been pieced together through police reports and witness statements. An argument erupted between Kalecia and Kicia Brown. The exact nature of their disagreement remains unclear, but what is certain is that the confrontation escalated rapidly and violently. Brown, who was illegally in possession of a firearm despite being under 18, shot Kalecia in the groin area. The gunshot wound was immediately life-threatening. Instead of immediately calling emergency services, witnesses reported that Brown, along with another male teenager and Infinity, carried Kalecia's injured body to the hotel lobby. Hotel guest Kicia Starkey, who happened to be in the lobby, described the shocking scene. Two young men carrying a girl out of the elevator, each holding one of her legs. Starkey held Kalecia's hand as hotel staff called 911 and emergency responders attempted resuscitation efforts. Despite these interventions, Kalecia was pronounced dead at 12:23 a.m. while en route to the hospital. In just 21 minutes, a vibrant young life had been extinguished, a life that, just moments before, had been joyfully dancing for her online audience, completely unaware of the tragedy about to unfold. At this point, I need to pause and ask, how many of you have discussed emergency protocols with your teenagers? Do they know what to do if someone is injured? Would they call 911 immediately, or panic and make critical mistakes like those we've just described? If this story is resonating with you, please take a moment to hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you experienced situations where plans changed without proper communication? What safety measures do you have in place with your teenagers? Your insights could help other families establish better safeguards and potentially save lives. The chaotic moments following the shooting revealed a disturbing lack of appropriate response from the teenagers present. Rather than immediately calling for emergency assistance, Kicia Brown, another male teenager, and Infinity made the catastrophic decision to move Kalecia's critically injured body. They carried her from the hotel room to the elevator and down to the lobby, actions that potentially compromised her already slim chances of survival. Hotel guest Kicia Starkey, who happened to be in the lobby around 12:15 a.m., witnessed the shocking scene. I saw these two young guys carrying this girl out of the elevator, she later told reporters. One had her by her hands, and the other had her by her feet. Security footage from the Hyatt Regency captured these grim moments, teenagers panicking, hotel staff responding with alarm, and Kalecia's life slipping away on the lobby floor. Emergency responders arrived quickly and attempted resuscitation, but the damage was too severe. By 12:23 a.m., as the ambulance raced toward the hospital, Kicia Williams was pronounced dead. Perhaps most disturbing in the immediate aftermath was the 8-hour delay before Kalecia's family was notified of her death. While her body lay in the morgue, her mother April Smith remained unaware that her daughter's life had ended, a communication failure that would add another layer of trauma to an already devastating situation. Atlanta Police Department responded to the Hyatt Regency shortly after the 911 call was placed. Officers secured the scene, beginning with the hotel lobby, where Kalecia was found, and extending to the room where the shooting occurred. Initial evidence collection focused on a firearm, which had been illegally possessed by the teenage shooter, and securing witness statements from those present. Detectives faced immediate challenges in their investigation. The crime scene had been compromised when Kalecia's body was moved from the original location of the shooting. Additionally, the teenagers present were providing inconsistent accounts of what had transpired. Some claimed the shooting was accidental, while physical evidence and other testimonies suggested heated argument had preceded the violence. The investigation revealed critical lapses in hotel security as well. Questions arose about how teenagers had been able to book a room without adult verification, and how a weapon had been brought onto the premises undetected. These security failures would later become points of contention for Kalecia's family, as they sought accountability beyond just the shooter. Within hours of the shooting, Atlanta police arrested Kicia Brown in connection with Kalecia's death. The teenage boy was taken into custody and transported to the Metro Youth Detention Center, where he would face the juvenile justice system rather than adult criminal court due to his age. The charges filed against Brown were substantial despite his juvenile status: felony murder, aggravated assault, reckless conduct, and possession of a pistol by a person under 18. Additionally, investigators added a sexual assault charge, though the specific details supporting this charge were not fully disclosed to the public due to the sensitive nature and the involvement of minors. The case presented complex questions about juvenile justice. Brown had no significant prior criminal record, yet was now facing charges for taking a human life. The illegal possession of the firearm raised questions about how a teenager had obtained the weapon and brought it to the hotel. These circumstances highlighted broader societal issues regarding youth access to weapons and the appropriate legal response when teenagers commit serious violent crimes. The resolution of Kicia Brown's case sparked outrage among Kalecia's family and supporters. Despite the severity of the charges, including felony murder, Brown received what many viewed as an extraordinarily lenient sentence, 1 year in juvenile detention. This outcome, announced in early 2021, meant that the teenager responsible for ending Kalecia's life would be released before his 18th birthday. April Smith, Kalecia's mother, expressed her devastation at the sentencing decision. "Where is the justice for my daughter?" she asked reporters outside the courthouse. 1 year for a life? How does that make sense? The family's attorneys pointed to what they described as fundamental flaws in how the juvenile justice system handles serious violent crimes. Community activists and supporters organized protests, arguing that the sentence reflected a broader pattern of injustice. They questioned whether a different outcome would have resulted if the racial dynamics had been different or if the case had received more media attention. The controversy highlighted ongoing debates about appropriate consequences for juvenile offenders who commit adult crimes. As investigators pieced together the events of that fatal night, they encountered a troubling pattern of contradictory statements from those present. Infinity, who had organized the gathering, provided multiple versions of what transpired. In her initial statement, she claimed the shooting was accidental, that Brown had been handling the gun carelessly when it discharged. Later, her account shifted to suggest an argument had preceded the shooting, though she remained vague about its nature. Other teenagers present that night similarly adjusted their recollections when confronted with physical evidence or statements from other witnesses. Some claimed they weren't in the room when the shooting occurred, despite hotel security footage showing them entering and not leaving before the incident. Others acknowledged being present but insisted they saw nothing, heard nothing, and knew nothing about how Kalecia sustained her fatal injury. These inconsistencies raised disturbing possibilities. Were the teenagers coordinating their stories to protect someone? Was there more to the argument between Kalecia and Brown than a typical teenage disagreement? Most troublingly, why did no one immediately call for medical assistance when Kalecia was shot? The shifting narratives frustrated investigators and devastated Kalecia's family, who believed the full truth was being deliberately obscured. April Smith repeatedly expressed her conviction that multiple people bore responsibility for her daughter's death, not just the person who pulled the trigger, but those who created the dangerous situation through deception and those who failed to act appropriately in the critical moments after the shooting. Perhaps one of the most inexplicable aspects of the case was the 8-hour gap between Kalecia's death and her family being notified. While emergency protocols typically prioritize next-of-kin notification, April Smith wasn't informed of her daughter's death until 8 a.m. on December 27th, nearly 8 hours after Kalecia was pronounced dead. This delay compounded the family's trauma significantly. April had expected her daughter to return home, or at least call after the party. Instead, she spent hours increasingly worried, unaware that Kalecia was already gone. When questioned about this delay, authorities cited difficulties identifying the victim and locating family contacts, explanations the family found wholly inadequate given that Kalecia had identification and a phone with emergency contacts. Serious questions emerged regarding the handling of evidence in Kalecia's case. The decision by teenagers to move her body from the crime scene potentially compromised crucial forensic evidence. Blood patterns, the precise position of the weapon, and other critical details were lost when Kalecia was carried to the lobby. Additionally, Kalecia's phone, which contained her final TikTok video and potentially other relevant communications, wasn't immediately secured as evidence. The family later expressed concern about whether all electronic communications between the teenagers present that night were thoroughly examined. These evidence handling issues fueled suspicions that important aspects of the case might have been overlooked or that the investigation lacked the thoroughness Kalecia's death deserved. Since Kalecia's death, April Smith has transformed her grief into advocacy. Refusing to accept the outcome of the criminal case, she has pursued multiple avenues for additional accountability. The family filed a civil lawsuit against the Hyatt Regency, citing negligent security practices that allowed unsupervised minors to book rooms and bring weapons onto the property. April regularly speaks at community events about teen safety and the importance of parental verification. "I don't want any other mother to experience this pain," she often says. The family maintains a social media presence dedicated to justice for Pinky, sharing updates on their legal battles and keeping Kalecia's memory alive. Their persistence highlights how families often must become their own advocates when they feel the justice system has failed them. News of Kalecia's death and the subsequent lenient sentencing sparked immediate community action. In January 2021, hundreds gathered outside the Hyatt Regency for a candlelight vigil, their faces illuminated by flickering lights as they chanted justice for Pinky. The crowd included classmates, family friends, and strangers moved by her story, all united in their demand for accountability. A Change.org petition titled Justice for Pinky garnered over 50,000 signatures within weeks, calling for a reopening of the investigation and harsher consequences for all involved. The petition emphasized the systemic failures that contributed to Kalecia's death: inadequate hotel security, negligent adult supervision, and a juvenile justice system that many felt prioritized rehabilitation over proportional consequences. Local activists organized multiple demonstrations outside the Fulton County Courthouse, their signs bearing Kalecia's smiling face alongside demands for justice reform. These protests highlighted how her case exemplified broader concerns about how the legal system handles crimes involving minority youth, both as victims and perpetrators. Beyond the immediate outcry, Kalecia's story has catalyzed meaningful conversations about teen safety in the digital age. Schools across Atlanta incorporated her case into discussions about social media safety, party verification protocols, and emergency response training for teenagers. Several community organizations established scholarship funds in Kalecia's name, supporting young people interested in creative arts, honoring her passion for dance and self-expression. These scholarships ensure that her creative spirit continues to inspire others even after her death. Perhaps most significantly, Kalecia's story has prompted many families to establish clearer communication protocols around social gatherings. Parents report being more vigilant about verifying supervision directly with other adults rather than accepting information relayed through teenagers. Young people, seeing the tragic consequences of unsupervised gatherings, have become more receptive to these safety measures. Through these ripple effects, Kalecia Pinky Williams continues to make an impact, her tragic story serving as a powerful reminder that proper supervision and honest communication can be matters of life and death. Kalecia's tragedy offers critical lessons that could save lives. First, parents must directly verify party details with other adults. Never rely solely on information filtered through teenagers. Establish a trust but verify approach by exchanging phone numbers with hosting parents and confirming supervision arrangements personally. Create clear check-in protocols with your teenagers. Require location sharing on phones and establish regular check-in times with consequences for miscommunications. Discuss what constitutes a dangerous situation and establish a no questions asked emergency pickup policy so teens never hesitate to call when feeling unsafe. For teenagers, recognize the warning signs of potentially dangerous gatherings, last-minute venue changes, unexpected guests, the presence of weapons or substances, and the absence of promised adult supervision. Develop an exit strategy before attending any gathering. Know how you'll leave if necessary, and who you can call for immediate help. Most importantly, normalize emergency response training for teenagers. Knowing when and how to call 911, understanding basic first aid, and recognizing that moving an injured person can cause additional harm are skills that might have changed the outcome for Kalecia. Kalecia Pinky Williams lost her life on December 27, 2020, after what should have been a supervised, girls-only Christmas gathering turned into an unsupervised hotel party with male teenagers present. Shot by Kiri Brown, following an argument, her death resulted in just 1 year of juvenile detention for her killer. The case exposed multiple failures: deceptive party planning, absent adult supervision, negligent hotel security, delayed family notification, and a justice system that many believe failed to deliver appropriate consequences. Through it all, Kalecia's vibrant spirit and the preventable nature of her death continue to resonate with families across America. If this story has impacted you, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to explosive true crime stories. Your engagement helps us reach more families with these crucial safety messages that could prevent similar tragedies. Share your own experiences or safety protocols in the comments below. Have you established verification systems with your teenagers? What strategies have worked for your family? Your insights could provide the exact guidance another parent needs. For those watching with teenagers, use this moment to start a conversation. Ask them what they would do in a similar situation. Would they recognize the danger signs? Would they know how to respond in an emergency? Finally, if you know someone who could benefit from these safety lessons, perhaps a parent of teenagers or a young person navigating social gatherings, please share this video with them. Together, we can honor Kalecia's memory by preventing other families from experiencing similar heartbreak.